Right about here, that's when I heard the gunshot. The gunshot went off.
There was a fisherman around the scene the day Mica Miller supposedly took her own life. That man claims that he heard Mica Miller crying, and then he heard a shot. And then as soon as the shot happened, the crying stopped. The fisherman found her belongings and turned it into police. And that fisherman has given a tour to News Nation of the scene.
Right about here, that's when I heard the gunshot. The gunshot went off.
From which side? Over here on the left?
To the left. That's where I heard the gunshot.
In there?
Uh-huh. That's when the crying stopped. That looks totally different from when I came in here. Anyway.
Was it low water when you were here?
No, it was actually less water than what's in here now. So that's the area I went in through with my boat.
How do you get in there if you're not in a boat?
You can't get in there if you. What do you mean?
How was she in there?
There's a path that comes in there. That's what I told them. Yeah. There was a path that comes into here. So there's paths all in this river. And there was a path leading straight to where her belongings were laying at.
And then how did you come across her stuff, her belongings?
I just seen it laying up on the bank when I pulled up in here. Yes, sir. It was laying up on the bank. I don't know why I grabbed it. I just grabbed it. Didn't ever look at it or nothing. I got out and I looked around because there was a clearing on the left and the right, and I looked around because I felt like something was wrong, but I never seen nothing. I took the stuff, put it in my boat, went back to the landing. Her driver's license, her bank card, she had her keys, $500, a little over $500. Every bit of that money got back.
It was not a wallet? It was a wallet?
It was what they call, I guess, ladies call them fanny packs.
Having been there at the site where this happened, Ashley, I gotta say, the only thing I could think of was like, how in the world did she get back in there? And after talking with her family, knowing that she had to walk through waist-deep water to get there, you can only wonder, like, why? Like, why would she go to these lengths to get into that area?
Now, I must admit, I've avoided talking about the fisherman because I truly believe he's innocent. I think he had nothing to do with what happened that day. And he's taken a lot of heat online ever since coming out saying that he was the one to find Mica's belongings. So I didn't want to bring any more unwanted attention to this man's life because he is indeed struggling. But this tour of the scene, for me, doesn't make sense. Raises more questions than answers. Take a look at this video posted by Kyler Marlowe, who's done a fantastic job covering this case. This is where Mica Miller's body was found, and about 40 yards away is where the fisherman found her belongings. Now, according to Marlowe and the News Nation reporter, it's extremely difficult to get to where Mica's body was found. This is Lumber River State Park, and here's the parking lot in which Mica Miller allegedly made the 911 call from inside of her car. She gets out, then hikes to a part of the park that's restricted to visitors. Wading through water, some say it could have been as high as her waist, this is where Mica supposedly took her life. But remember the 911 call. Mica specifically says she wants to know where her family can find her.
I'm about to myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
If true, then why did Mica make it so difficult to find her body? Then remember this. According to the family of Mica Miller, there were multiple shell casings found at the scene.
Park ranger took us back to the scene and pointed out, here's where she would have been standing, here's where the shell casings and the live round were, which also doesn't make sense. She knew how to use a weapon. She got the weapon for self-protection. She told me days beforehand, Dad, I really feel like I need a weapon for protection. And she knows how to use it. She's qualified. She's been through training. She's not going to charge the weapon and eject a live round. She already knows. The first rule of gun use is knowing the condition of the gun. So we got the information about the shells. I did it directly from the park ranger. And then when we brought that up to law enforcement, they just said, well, they had no answer. They really just had no answer why, any kind of, not even a speculation. They didn't even say, well, she probably did this, probably did that. They just said, this is what we have. And there is what would be an apparent bullet hole in a tree, which I have a picture of. And they just didn't seem to put the effort forth. So we're very disappointed in that.
And the family also says that there were signs of a struggle with bruising on Mica's body.
With the bruising on her hands and on her arm, scratches on her hands, indicating defensive wounds. So very frustrating.
Let me be clear, this is all speculation, and I'll have to be honest, it's part of the reason why I haven't dug deeper. I feel like some of this is a reach. But the fisherman's interview raised more questions than answers for me. And remember, police say John-Paul Miller was nowhere near the scene. They say he was allegedly with a woman who he's romantically involved with. And this is where it gets interesting. And it's why I've decided to dig deeper. Last week, John-Paul Miller's own father, Reginald Miller, disputes what the police say. In a 900-word letter written to the Daily Mail, he says that John-Paul was not with a woman the day Mica died. That goes against John-Paul's alibi. And on Friday of last week, the Daily Mail approaches Susie Skinner, the alleged mistress of John-Paul Miller. Susie says her and John-Paul are just friends, and they are not dating. So if that's the case, with his father saying he wasn't with a woman, and Susie saying that they're not dating, where was John-Paul the day Mica died? I also want to be clear, I still believe Mica Miller did this herself. But more questions keep popping up that make you think maybe something else happened.
I want to remind you, like a bunch of people have been reminding me lately, that I'm God's bride first. And even an earthly spouse who's a good spouse, when they know that their bride is being hurt, just imagine what an earthly spouse does. What do you think your heavenly spouse does when you're the bride of Christ and he sees his bride going through abuse and hurt? What do you think he thinks about that?
As of today, nobody has been charged in connection with Mica Miller's death, and police maintain she did this herself.